Okay, ma'am, I'll check. Start. Yeah, ma'am, for live lada ma'am.
You can stop it and you can stop streaming. Put it up a start streaming.
For live lada ma'am, continue the search.
That is fine.
Please be seated. Good morning and good day to one and all present here. On behalf of Mohammed Satan AJ Academy of Architecture, I welcome our Dean and Advisor, Professor Dr. Mohammed Harris, Principal Professor Mohammed Idris, HOD Professor Satish Kumar T, Design Chair Professor Meeran Abdus Samad, and our guest speaker, Architect Shripal Munshi, students and faculty members. I thank you all for joining us. God is most supreme and prayer is essential to experiencing His power in our lives. Therefore, we start this auspicious ceremony with the verses of the Holy Quran recited by Afif of 3rd year.
Good morning and Assalamu alaikum to everyone. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Alhamdulillahi rabbil alamin. Ar-rahmanir rahim. Maliki yawmiddin. Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in. Ihdinas siratal mustaqim. Siratal ladzina an'amta 'alaihim ghairil maghdubi 'alaihim waladdallin. Amen. Translation. In the name of Allah, the gracious, the merciful. Praise to be Allah, Lord of the worlds, the most gracious, the most merciful, Master of the day of judgment. It is you we worship, and upon you we call for help. Guide us to the right path, the path of those you have blessed, not of those against whom there is anger, nor of those who are misguided. Amen. Thank you.
The audience is requested to rise for the invocation by our student choir.
நீராறும் கடலொடுத்த நிலமடந்த கெழிலொழுகும் சீராறும் பதனமென திகழ்பரத கண்டமிது தெக்கணமும் மது சிறந்த திராவிடன திருநாடும் தக்க சிறு பிறை முதலும் தரிதனரும் திலகமுமே அத்திலக வாசனை போல் அனைத்துலகும் இன்பமுற எத்திசையும் புகழ் மணக்க இருந்த பெரும் தமிழனங்கே தமிழனங்கே உன் சீரிலமை திறன் வியந்து செயல் மறந்து வாழ்த்துதுமே வாழ்த்துதுமே வாழ்த்துதுமே.
I call upon Hasiba from 4th year to introduce and welcome our guest speaker for the event.
Good morning, everyone. I take immense pleasure in welcoming our chief guest, architect Shripal Munshi. Architect Shripal has been practicing architecture and interior design for more than 2.5 decades. He completed his Bachelor of Architecture degree in Academy of Architecture, Mumbai in 1990 and his MSc in Architecture and Urban Planning in Columbia University, New York in 1995. He has had 14 years working experience with reputed international architecture firms such as Helmut, Obata and Casabon, Hong Kong and RMJM, Singapore. He established SVA, that is Shripal Venkat Architects. SVA has designed integrated townships, gated communities, institutional buildings, senior living communities, mixed-use commercial projects, hospitality, urban as well as resorts, entertainment zones, schools, and real infrastructure interiors. Irrespective of the scale and geographic location of their projects, the common thread that joins all of these projects is a rigorous design development and exploration process that yields sensible and sensitive interventions that balance form, order, and aesthetics. We are glad to invite him to this session in pursuit of design excellence. So what next? Stay inspired. Over to you, sir. Thank you for being here.
Welcome to all of you all. I hope all of you guys are awake and you all were not doing an all-nighter, doing some submission last night because then you were able to very, very peacefully sleep. So it then becomes my prerogative to make sure that you guys are awake. So can you hear me in the back? All good? All the backbenchers? My favorite guys. Please put all your phones on the side. Make sure they're all on silent or on mute. Nothing is worse than getting a phone call in the middle of a conversation or when you're trying to actually engage and get something done. So, okay, thank you so much, Samad sir, Yarini, Angeline, and all of you for putting things together. It's been great to talk to people, the next generation, and you are the people who are going to transform whatever you do, whichever city you're going to be, whichever place you're going to be working in, whichever country you're going to be living in, there is a part of Chennai and there's a part of your culture which you take with you. So never ever forget that. First, and I have traveled and I have lived in 5 continents. And I'll tell you one thing, right? It's when you're faced with a decision to be a first-class citizen in a developing country as opposed to a second-class citizen in a first-world country, you will have to choose what is right for you. There are so many things which are not okay with India, but it is your country. There are so many things which are not right with our industry, but look at it in a different way. That means there's so much room to grow. That's the potential to make a transformation and make a change, and that is in your hands. Today, the demographics in India are staggeringly weighed in favor of the youth. There is no country on the planet which has such a large percentage of young people, which means energy, which means growth, which means transformation, which means risk, which means that you will make a difference. So remember that. Everything is in your hands. You can choose to make something out of an opportunity, or you can let it go by. Time will not come again. No amount of money will get you even one more second on this planet. No amount. No number of zeros in your bank account will make a difference to the number of years you're going to live. No chance. But what you can do in that period is up to you. So that is a decision which is entirely in your hands, is entirely in your mind, and it's entirely in your heart. So let me start with a few, can we do something about the color, because the color is a bit bleached out. Okay, much better. So maybe even switch these, just leave one light on. So I've got a number of presentations for you which I would like to share, and I'll begin with a few insights to start off the entire morning, and then I'll take you through some of the selected projects that we have been doing, some of the selected projects that we have done. So this is a collage of past and present projects that are going on in our office and that are under construction in various cities. Sorry. Oops. I will move forward. Okay. So we are influenced by our context, and then we in turn influence the context. We are walking, talking libraries of experiences, enriching, empowering, and sharing, and hopefully most of the times in a positive way. Because the responsibility that comes with being in a profession that shapes our world is huge. And when I say huge, I'm saying it with a capital H. You will realize this when you start working in firms. You realize this when you rise in whichever firms you work in. You realize this when you become principals of your own firms. So this is a responsibility that has to be wielded with a lot of dispassion, discretion, and care. So this slide encapsulates the journey so far as my professional and personal life is concerned. Born and raised in a middle-class family in Mumbai. I'm one of 3 siblings. I'm the youngest of 3 brothers. My elder brother is a doctor, he's a surgeon, and my eldest brother was in the real estate and the finance industry, and now he's a very senior meditation teacher. Now, starting from a middle-class family, I stayed in a 1-bedroom flat till I left the country for my master's. And even now when I go back, I still stay back in that same flat, not because I don't have other options, but because that is where your heart is. So never ever forget your roots. And most important, never ever be embarrassed about your roots. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter where you come from, what matters is where you're going to go. So Mumbai with the energy, then after that, Ahmedabad in Doshi's office, because I was very sort of, what's the best way to put it? I was very interested and curious in the principles which were driven and which were influencing Doshi sir's work, tenets of modernism, golden section, Fibonacci series. All this was Greek and Latin to me initially, and that actually made it even more interesting. That let's go and find out. And there was no other way. You can't do this remotely, and this people before the internet age. So the only way you had to do was basically go up there, hand up at Sangat and say, okay, I'd like to work. And that's how everything started. And it was a great, absolutely phenomenal time. And it still has so many other connections which are long lasting. Then the idea of, oh, now you need to educate yourself even more. So you want to do a master's. Now, do not make this critical, fundamental, criminal mistake of jumping into a master's program straight after an undergrad. Because that means Whatever you have assimilated, you do not get a chance, and you do not give yourself a chance to test it in the real world. And you're going from one academic program into another academic program. A professional degree, a post-professional degree, a master's degree means interaction with your peers, means interaction with your fellow students, means interaction with the faculty. What are you going to interact if you have nothing to share? What are you going to interact? Not what you learned in the 5 years, not what you have assimilated in your undergrad. So give yourself a break. There is no pressure. Time is not running out. There's no Armageddon happening and there's no end of the world, right? Everything will remain just the same way. Take a 2-year break, take a 3-year break, work. Get into the whole process of understanding how a building is built. Understand principles of design. Understand form, space, order. Understand landscape. Understand ecology. Understand what is a climate responsive design intervention. Then apply for your postgrad programs, and do not get into a program where you're going to spend lakhs and lakhs of rupees, and then you're going to come back and then you're not even going to get 25,000 rupees a month. So be very careful and very judicious in terms of what you want to do in your PG education. Don't jump quickly into it. So Mumbai, Ahmedabad to New York City, that's where I did my master's. I was fortunate to get 6 scholarships because my parents could not afford an Ivy League fee. So I managed to get the Rotary Foundation Scholarship, R.D. Setna, J.N. Tata, and 3 others, including a one-way airfare. And with that, on top of that, my parents had to take loans. And that's how the education happened. But I had a dream, and then you work towards a dream, because nothing is impossible. If you put your effort and if you put the right concentration and attention, you'll see how things start manifesting and magically happening. So New York City was phenomenal in terms of just the fact that you are in a 24/7, and probably one of the most, I would say, as far as architecture is concerned, one of the most seminal and epic cities that you can even be in. And if you can afford it and if you can work towards it, I would say every single architecture student must visit New York City, just to see how man's ambition is translated into the built environment, just to see what technology can do, just to see how capitalism creates environments which are absolutely mind-boggling. Just even from you may be a socialist, you may be a communist, you may be whatever it is, but it's an education just to be in New York City. Yes, there are other cities, there are other vertical cities, and that is actually what happened in my case, because I passed out of Columbia. I was getting small projects. I was fortunate to work in David Mandel's office, and then that time there were 2 partners, one who passed out of IMP's office, Rob Rogers, and another one, Jonathan Marvel, who used to be in Richard Myers. And both Pei and Richard Meyer have been kind of design icons who have I won't say influence, but who I have a lot of respect for. So Rogers Marbles was a firm that I interned in for a very brief amount of time, and then I got a break in HOK. HOK San Francisco said, okay, we'll ship you out and go to where the party is happening, which was Asia. So from New York, had a return ticket. I landed up in Hong Kong for the very first time in my life, and I see that yes, there's another 24/7 city that exists, but on the other side of the planet. This was 1997. Hong Kong handover was happening. It was going back to the Chinese, and the market crashed. From 375 people in our Hong Kong office, we became 65 people in 1 month. So we were being fired in batches of 70. Literally. I mean, it was not funny. So I had 2 options. I had a return ticket to go back to New York City and then again, walk around and survive on love and fresh air. Or I had a job in Singapore, a job offer with Urban Redevelopment Authority, and then I had an offer with RMJN, which was Robert Matthews Johnson Marshall, very conservative grid firm, and they said, okay, let's give this guy a chance. So I took the chance, and I started working with them. I started at the very, very lowest level, because your education from Mumbai your stint in Doshi sir's office and a Columbia degree was good enough just to get me an assistant architect, 19,000, not even 19,000, 18,000 Hong Kong dollars per month salary. Which means you were surviving on bread, butter, and cheese and yogurt. That's what you were doing. But that's fine. You love the work and you love the profession, and you said, okay, let's take the risk. At least I don't have to stick my hand out and ask my parents now and be in this embarrassing education ho gaya and still you're asking for money. No. So that's how the story started in Hong Kong, and then you're there to prove yourself and you're there to make something out of your life and opportunity. So I stayed with them for 14 years. I was their architect, station architect. I lived and traveled in Taipei. I was posted in Taipei for 1.5 years. I was station architect for the first high-speed rail station in Taoyuan. I lived in Singapore for 3.5 years on 2 different projects, a huge convention center and 14 mass transit stations, and then the usual residential projects, etc., etc. In my last 5 years, we were doing projects in India, 35 projects in the National Capital Region for Unitech and some of the other clients, and Estancia, which was for the Arun XLO and LNG Group. And that is what brought me back to India, and brought me to Chennai. And as the story goes, I'm still here. So this is a brief globe-trotting history. So each city, right, leaves impressions on you. Each city creates memories. Each city has relationships that you forge. And this is what is going to be your personal library to draw from and to take it to metamorphosize it into something beautiful. So if my voice is sounding too sleepy and sonorous and beautifully please wake up. I can see a few sleepy heads right at the back. Before I come down the stage and start talking right next to you. Don't make me do that. So, okay, so all these cities are great, I would say, great built and unbuilt forms. Please make travel part of your fundamental requirement. And when I say travel, I don't mean a college trip where you're going to party till 5 a.m. I don't mean a college trip where you basically have a blast and then you go and look at some historical building, token it, oh yeah, you take the photo, put it on Insta and go. No. You do that. You do that also, but you go and see and absorb and see what a city talks to you. And that's very important for a young, creative person like you. So, you know that famous line from that Batman movie, Heath Ledger's "Why so serious?" I can never get it out of my head. So there's a British cartoonist called Hellman, and he used to publish all these cartoons in a magazine called Architectural Review. If you guys get a chance, just Google him and see some of this absolutely crazy but brilliant stuff that he's done. So this slide, right, it sort of captures what the world is expecting from you, what your office is expecting from you, what your clients are expecting from you, what you are expecting from yourself, and how this brain, this phenomenal machine that we all are gifted with, processes all of that. So there's something called the left side and the right side of the brain, right? The right side is supposedly the more creative side, the left side is supposed to be the more analytical side. We are one of the few professions where you get an opportunity to use both. There are very, very few professions in this planet where you will get the chance to use both. You will either be doing linear work, linear extrapolation, 1 plus 1 is equal to 2, but in our world, 1 plus 1 can also mean 11. And there are multiple solutions to the same problem. It's not straitjacketed, and it's not, there's only one way this way or the highway. So understand and become aware that there are two sides and you have to balance both and you have to use both. Doesn't mean you have to do slenderness ratio and you have to figure out whether your beam is going to stand or your deflection is going to fail. No. Understand the mechanics behind it, understand the arithmetic behind it, understand the logic behind structures, and then understand how you can change that into something beautiful. Because the right side of the brain will teach you emotion, right side of the brain governs all the tactile. It affects the senses that you are gifted with. You understand color, you understand shadow, you understand light, you understand space, you understand proportions. And if you don't, it's not too late, you can start now. But become aware of that, because that comes from you. No one's going to come and tell you. It's not there in any curriculum, it's not there in any program, it's not there in any course that you're going to do it. So this is the multiple hats that you will wear in whichever role that you do once you pass out of college, or even now, if you are fortunate enough to be working, or if you've been disciplined enough to make time to start working itself. So, a more elaboration on Einstein's famous photograph where he was actually taking a smoke at the world. But behind that charisma was a very, very intuitive and a very, very sophisticated brain. And that is actually the analysis which is there, the left brain and the right brain. Academic versus creative. Become aware of this, apply this, reflect on it, introspect in your own minds what you think is right, and then automatically your brain and your mind will start telling you what is good for you. So here's a very, very loaded question for all of you. Are you liking what you are doing, and are you in the right profession? Ask yourself this fundamental question again and again. And if you are not, if the answer is not a resounding yes, then change course. Do not add to the ocean and abundance of mediocrity that is already existing all around us. Please don't do that. And just because you couldn't get into engineering, just because you couldn't get into medicine school, just because whatever, and you ended up in architecture, and now I'm an architect, and now I have to do this, that's not a good enough reason. You continue being an architect if you really love the profession, if you wake up every morning saying, yeah, this is what I want to do, and this is what drives me, this is what challenges me, this is what sees me growing. If this answer is not yes, it's not too late. Absolutely, it's not too late. Did you know that Ratan Tata is an architect? Did you know that Ratan Tata actually graduated from Cornell University? Cornell University is one of the 6 or the 7 Ivy League universities, very difficult to get in. He passed out, he loved architecture, and he could not practice architecture a single day. But what he does today is he ensures that every single TCS environment is something unique. So he employs the world's best designers, whether it's Billy St. Todd Williams, whether it's Ricardo Bofill, whether it's whoever, the A-grade list of designers. So he is in this rare position to influence the built world because he was trained to see this in a very different way. So, this you have to be very, very careful that are you in the right profession? Because if you're not if you have a doubt, don't be embarrassed. It's not too late. You've got a huge, long life in front of you. You can do some wonderful things. But do not, because if you continue being unhappy, as they say, you can't keep on putting things under the carpet. You can hide, but you can't run. So there will be a day where you'll be forced to confront this, and if you are going to be in that situation, it's better that it happens sooner than later. If you don't do that, and if you're not really in the right profession, you won't have any passion. And if you have no passion, then nothing good will come out. Then it will just be one straight line. So you've got to ask yourself, am I happy? Am I happy? There was this beautiful television series called The Family Man. Some of you guys would have seen it, right? Great production and great values. And there's one scene in that where that Manoj Bhattai's character, and the guy is working in an IT firm, and because obviously that's a front, no one knows that he's doing something which is great, but he's not supposed to. So the guy is telling him, you're the bare minimum guy. You remember the line, you're the bare minimum guy. And just see how powerful those words were, bare minimum. मतलब जितना करना है बस वही करेंगे, 50% पास हो गया, अरे बस क्या और क्या, now what, why slot that extra bit in writing? Please do not be that bare minimum guy or that bare minimum girl, because that means you will be unhappy, but you will make everyone around you unhappy, which is a bigger problem. You being unhappy is one thing, but people around you, friends and family, don't even go down that road. Okay, so use your hand to draw. Use your hand to sketch. The computer is a tool, but the computer cannot think. We are not living in 2070, where artificial intelligence has become so advanced that life is what you see in the movies. So I'm just going to take you through every single project that we do in the office starts with a doodle, starts with a tracing paper, starts with a sketch pen, starts with color pencil, starts with whatever. But make that connection, pen to paper, because that will teach you things which no college will teach you. That will teach you space, form, proportions, dimensions, access, master planning, figure ground, everything that you do. You have to do this, and you have to be aware of this, because if you don't do that, you can't start sculpting. And this is the best part about our work, the start of a project. When you have just a brief from the client, basic requirements, a site, all the rules that you're supposed to comply with or not comply with, the very first idea which comes to your mind is the most important idea. And if you go back and see, you'll realize that your initial ideas were actually the best ones as a project progresses. So these are sketches for that is the master plan, one of the master plan sketches for Temple Green Township in Orgadam. And the blue is a Baikal which cuts through the site. So the entire planning and the grid system and the phases were a response to a natural topography. This is the massing study which was done for a project unbuilt till now called Waterside, not too far from here on Weimar. These were MLCP studies for Estancia Park Plan. This is for a university campus in Orissa. This was also for a university campus in Orissa. This is for G.K. Shetty for a site in Kelambakam. It was a 99-acre site, and the client had come with a certain brief that we have to keep this original design and some donut which they got from an international design firm. And he said, no, you can change everything else, but you don't change this because I've paid a lot of money for it. So I said, okay. Compositions mature into scale, proportion, order, program. Before you start putting your plan sections, elevations, you need to have an idea, and you need to have a direction which will make you explore even further. So feel free. There's no money lost in sketching. It's not going to get built tomorrow, but it will make the end result 10 times better. Doesn't matter, you don't have to be a Picasso, but do whatever you can do in your own way. Maintain a sketchbook, just a small one, A5, but every sketch, every doodle, every scribble that you do has meaning, because it's coming from a space of thought. It's coming from ideas which you test. So that's your personal signature and that's your personal contribution. So these are sketches which we've done for a project which is just on the verge of being handed over. It's a corporate headquarters for a steel making company called Aman TRY, and we inherited a post-tensioned shell because the aspect ratio of the plan was like 1:6. And the client said, now let's do something different. And we started working on that. So how do you do an exoskeleton? How do you add a skin which actually for a company that makes steel? So their aspirations were connection to the industry, connection to the product, connection to the language that the building is going to create, and the fact that the architecture now has tactile material direct relationship. So he's not making fabric, he's not making food products, he's making steel, and that also construction steel. So there was the what should I say? It's a blessing in a way that you have such a clear line of thinking from a client, and that's actually something which we started working on. These are studies which we've done for a super tall building in Mumbai, right in the heart of the city, and 75 or 80 floors. Now this is very interesting, right? The client came to us, approval drawings are all done, foundation work has started, basement construction in full swing, 2 flats per floor, each at that time was supposed to be at some 20-25 crores, so one floor plate would be 50 crores. And then they launched the project. A huge model was made from China, shipped in a container. I think 18 or 20 lakhs was the cost just of the model display gallery, etc., etc. No one is buying. So 3 months into the sale, way below whatever they were expecting. So what do we end up doing? We end up changing the floor plan in literally mid-flight. So from 2 flats to a floor, it became 4 flats to a floor. And so then I said to the client, I said, what about the appraisals? We will do everything again. So now look at the changes, look at this magnitude of how a market response drives what you do. The decisions were so huge that going through the entire design and approval process was a fraction of the time, effort, money and cost compared to sitting on an inventory which would never work, which would never sell in the scale of the project. So my point is, we are a service industry. We are means to an end. Never ever forget that. Yes, we get to do creative stuff and we get to do great stuff and we get a chance to express our ideas and we get a chance to show our skills, but do not ever forget that you are a service consultant. Because of you, a client makes a project happen. Because of you, someone gets a house. Because of you, a school is made. Because of you, a convention center is made. So, through us, we are very, very powerful instruments. This is some of the design studies which we had done for 4 Point Sheraton Confluence when we started the project. So this is the main building, and the sketches on the extreme right are the conceptual ideas which were created because the branding which was chosen by the client was petals. So how do you apply that in a false ceiling? How do you apply that in a built form? And these sketches which were done by someone called Gauri Shankar who used to work with us. He's now working with the government, with the PWD. But he had a very good talent in hand and he understood what I was trying to do. This is a project in Africa, in Accra, and it's a very, very strange building. It has a residential program and then it has an office program, and they wanted the office program to be iconic and quite sort of in fact the client's office was supposed to be right on top. So structurally it was challenging, and in terms of form making it was even more challenging. How do you mix 2 genres together, one perched on top with no relationship to each other? An office floor plate has large requirements for glass windows. A residential doesn't, because you've got privacy, you've got balcony, you've got bathrooms, you've got kitchen, you've got living rooms, and you've got bedrooms. So the entire exploration eventually ended up with something which was quite sort of modern and contemporary. So here's another message to all of you all. The pain of discipline is better than the pain of regret. We all love laziness. It's in our DNA. And it's absolutely fine to be lazy. I don't expect all of you to wake up at 6 a.m. and go for a 5-kilometer run, do an hour of stretching, yoga, meditation, whatever it is, be on an absolutely healthy, sattvic diet, and then 9 a.m. I'm ready for the world. Dream on. That ain't happening. It might happen once in 30 days. So the challenge is to make that happen more often. It needs discipline. So this is where there's another insight, right? There's something called the big mind and the small mind. So the big mind knows what's the right thing to do, but it's the difficult part. The small mind will look for shortcuts. So the small mind will be always waiting to grab your attention and show you the easiest way. You follow the small mind, you will get short-term gains and long-term gains. You follow the big mind and you will get short-term gain but long-term gain. So understand this fundamental, and this is applicable in everything. This is applicable in relationships, this is applicable in your life, the way you deal with your parents, with your spouse, with your boyfriend, with your girlfriend, with people, with vendors, everything. Big mind, small mind. Do not look for shortcuts. And have you seen Lord of the Rings? All of you guys have seen the movie Lord of the Rings? Yeah? Yes? No? Yeah, you've seen that character Gollum, right? He keeps on enticing Frodo and this thing that all with that ring and give it to me, give it to me. That is the small mind. Always there to trap you, always there to entice you, always there to lure you, always there to tempt you. Please realize that as tempting it is to go down that direction, always follow the big mind. And you all have that insight. You just have to reflect on it. That's all. So why I put that slide about discipline and pain is because things don't happen magically. They have to be structured. You have to plan for it. You understand one thing. As architects and as master planners, we are the engine that drives the train. The entire consultant team is behind us. They follow what we do. They follow what we create. They follow what we decide. So, if you are getting it wrong, seven firms behind you are going to get it wrong. Now, this is the level of responsibility and this is the level of importance that you carry. So, kick-off meetings, site analysis, understanding the brief, ask questions. It's not wrong to ask questions. It's perfectly fine to ask questions. It's perfectly fine to ask why. Why am I doing this? Can this be done in another way? Is this the only way to do it? Can we look at this? Maybe you might need a little more time to go through that exploration, but ask those questions, because without those questions, you will become what I call one more sheep in a herd. And you decide whether you want to be part of the sheep, you want to be part of the herd, or you want to lead. So, creativity that comes from stress is short-lived. You stay up the whole night, last-minute kings, keep everything till the 11th hour, and then do 3 straight all-nighters and say, "Arey yaar, chal, kal submission hai, I'll do that." And you think you've done a great job, you pat yourself in the back, you think you're Superman, Spider-Man, Iron Man, everything rolled into one, right? It comes with a price. But creativity that comes from a space of calmness, of introspection, whichever spiritual path you are following, whatever it is, but if you go deep into that, and if you see, and if you observe, and if you are aware of those ideas, I'm guaranteeing you that's going to be way, way, way much better, and you don't have to pay a price. There's no collateral damage. First direction, collateral damage. You'll get your fun. You go a big night out, you're going to get a hangover. And that hangover is going to be in your head for the next 5 hours. You go and smoke and weed and pot and dope and whatever you guys may or may not be doing, I don't know. It comes with a price. But there are other ways of elevating yourself. There are other ways of getting so much more. So don't fall into these very, very sort of tempting traps that are omnipresent. I mean, it's just all over the place, right? It's a huge challenge. I mean, I can totally understand what it is to be in your generation. Sorry. These images which you see, they are for a project coming up in T Nagar, right at the intersection of a crossroads. We started it as a commercial building, and now it's going to turn into a boutique hotel. So the entire project has changed. The entire brief has changed. The entire architecture has changed. This is what happens. This is what is called unplanned interventions. There was absolutely no, and even the client didn't know that this is how we were going to end up with the whole trajectory. So be prepared for the unexpected. Understand the difference between inspiration, assimilation, and rigorous exploration. We are in a very, very dangerous world of Instagram and Pinterest. Within a fraction of seconds, you have access to visual information which was unheard of 10 years back. I mean, unheard of. I had to sit in a library, pour through monographs, pour through books, pour through carefully curated PDFs to access a case study. Today, you have it in a matter of seconds, delivered to you in your phone. I mean, just see the exponential, it's not even exponential, it's like a quantum jump of information technology which has engulfed us. So it's all right to take inspiration, it's all right, I like this building, but don't stop there. Use your own skills, use your own God-gifted talents and understand all those backbenchers. Hello, can you wake up? That guy on the right there, his head is almost touching the railing. Yeah, right there. Second row from the right. Your hand. You're looking back, I'm talking to you. Thank you. Thank you. Good morning. Can I get coffee for you, please? Black coffee, cappuccino, latte. Angeline, can we do something for that young gentleman? He's had a tough life last night. I don't know what. Yeah. Spotlight on him. Okay. Yeah, see, this is what I mean. Someone out here was also happily snoring away. Like snorasan. In yoga, it's called snorasan. When your sound, stereophonic sound, man, like Bose 650 music system, you're generating from your nostrils. It doesn't get better. Right? Like, it really doesn't get better. You're smiling, dude, you were asleep right now. So, don't look at the neighbor. Okay, so this is the difference between what you see and what you want to do and the discretion that you have to apply it. These are the studies for that T Nagar project now. So you see the earlier slide, what it was, and now you can see the direction in which it's going, and we don't even have a final conclusion yet. So because it's now a boutique hotel of 425 square feet each room, long stay apartments. So you want a view. Imagine the residents inside, they don't know, just because you like parametric architecture, just because you want to do tessellation, just because you want to do fractal, don't impose that on the guys living inside. Yeah, he's making $6,000 a night. He wants a nice Srinagar view, he's happy with the chaos below. So understand one thing, you don't impose your ideas unless you are your own client. Have that bit of sensitivity that you are designing for someone else. Someone else's money is riding on the project. That beautiful angel out there is asleep, 1, 2, third row on the right hand side. Are you awake? Yeah, behind you, right there, third row from the back. Good morning. Yes. Hello. Good morning. Yeah, sorry. Someone said, with. You're with me? Oh, I love that. I just love that. Okay. I'm so boring, man. Really? I'm really that boring? Man, yeah, black and white, diagonal checks, yes. Should I sing a song for you? Like, can we jam together? Can we do a duet? Someone plays the guitar out here, percussion, drums. Can we get an impromptu jam session? It'll just make things move, man. Like, my God, I've left my office here and she's dreaming in La La Land. Absolute. See, I take that as a compliment that my voice is so soothing and I can put like 1, 2, 3 people to sleep. I've already put. Not bad. Not bad at all. The first 3 rows are smiling. The back 3 rows are. अरे क्या बोर कर रहा है यार बिल्डिंग बना रहा है यार छोड़ना यार लेट मी स्लीप यार put the AC यार increase the AC यार what is it यार what is this Pradeep sir okay next point no substitute for hard work and no shortcuts in this profession so roll up your sleeves and get cracking right set goals garner knowledge is one currency which will not depreciate and make you bankrupt. What you learn, I still remember what I learned on various site visits. And it helps me even today. 10 years back, 15 years back I had gone, and you know what? The most uneducated people are the best teachers. Your kadiyas and your mistris and your this thing who's going to, your plumber will teach you 10 things about how to put a building together than what you do sitting in a classroom and looking at some, British book or some American book or whatever else. Because that guy will teach you how to get your slope right. That guy will teach you how to make the right circular hole for your cockroach-proof stainless steel drainage channel. You don't even know the waterproofing on the roof. If I ask you guys, what system are you going to put on the roof? I'm going to get some phenomenally funny answers, guaranteed. I mean, I'm willing to put a 500 rupee note on the table. But if you go to site, you will learn, okay, this is an elastomeric membrane. This is what I'm going to do. Oh, this is brush applied. This is some black Japan. Black Japan क्या है यार? मैं क्या करूँगा black Japan में? Japan तो उधर है, black इधर है. You will learn colloquial terminology. You will learn how the industry works. You guys awake there? The extreme right guy. Yeah? Hello? Yeah, you. Can you raise your hand? Behind you. Last bench. Yeah, thank you. Just checking. Sorry. Oops. Anjali. Please. How did it go back to full screen? Okay. Back. Okay. So these are images. One more thing. We are living in a great time. The computing power which is there in your hand, in your phone, is more than what was there in my server when I started my phone. Server, office server. The phone, so make use of the phone. You go to a construction site, it's absolutely fine to take photographs, as long as you're taking only your buildings. So make sure that you document every visit, make sure that you document every process, and this teaches you so many things. It teaches you how challenging it is to get things at site. It teaches you that beautiful render which you did. Now, how do you bring that to life? That 300 mm toe wall which I did for that landscape thing actually is not going to be 300, it's going to be 350. Because by the time I put waterproofing, I put the cladding, because I forgot how to do the cladding. I didn't put, I thought it's going to be stuck like chewing gum, but the guys come and told me, sir, 50 mm मेरे को चाहिए sir, ये कैसे होगा? 50 on this side, 50 on this side, 300 becomes 400. 400 means different proportion, entire drawing changes, everything changes. You will not know unless you go and stand in the sun, roll your sleeves up, talk to people, understand what is it, what is plastering, how do you do construction, what is de-shuttering. You can't learn this. It's impossible to learn this in a college. You have to go out there. This is what you have to do. And internships also, I know there's a system which says 6 months, 30 days, 40 days, 90 days, 1 year, 1 year. I had people, when I was in RMJM Hong Kong, we had people from New Zealand, from Australia, from UK. 1 year, they would say, it was called year out. They finished 4 years and they're saying, this is my year out. And they would come and rough it out, literally backpacking, but they were interning. They were the guys who were making the office stay up every night. They were the guys that we had to leave the office open, right? A floor plate, 300 people on one floor, 6 guys working. The entire office is run. Because they were there making sure that design studies were done, exploration was done, submission was ready for tomorrow morning's client meeting or Zoom meeting or video conference or whatever it is. This is going to teach you, and this will stay with you. Every time you go to a site, something stays in your mind, something stays in your memory, and that's very, very important. Only thing constant in life is change. Embrace it and focus on staying relevant. In 1995, I did that building. In 2003, I did that building. That has no meaning today. Oh, we did that in 2011. No, we are in 2022. What did you do last year? What have you done? What are you doing right now? What are you creating today? This is what the world wants to know. This is what the nation wants to know. This is what your clients want to know. And this is what you should be knowing yourself. So, don't rest on your laurels. There's absolutely no place for complacency. Yes, you did some great buildings, fine. You had some great ideas, superb. Is it relevant today? So, which means you have to be agile, which means you have to be nimble, which means you have to be sharp, which means you cannot be carrying baggage. So, these are very important words, because that will make sure that you realize that you have to be constantly abreast or even ahead of the curve. You know, there's a learning curve, there's a curve. And then you want to be on top of the curve, you want to be ahead of the curve. Before we get into each of the case studies, do not stop dreaming, because that is the only thing that will help change your reality. So, on that note, can we go down to the next presentation, which is the general profile, the SVA general profile. And now I'm going to, so we've got a lot of stuff, a lot of projects to show you, but I've sort of curated a key interesting ones, which I think I'm hoping you guys will still be awake by the time I run through all of them. I'm keeping my fingers crossed. So, yeah, profile general. Control L. Okay, so the only thing that we've not done today, till date, hospitals and airports. Apart from that, we've been fortunate to be involved or have created or done or completed or are doing in terms of building typologies. Master plans, entertainment, senior living, hospitality, institutions, interior design, housing, IT, corporate. I'm just running to all these awards. Okay, you go into this. So this is the master plan for the Temple Green Township. This is the area. Overall, original 135 acres, which was the brief which was given. We did 3 different options for that, amalgamated the best designs from all the 3 options, and then this is the one which is actually being built. So I think the last time I had 2,500 families have already moved in. People are happy. Some of the buildings are actually showing wear and tear, and the Unexplored group has gone into the next phase in terms of plotted developments. So this is showing you towers, row houses. This is still +4, the clubhouse, and the school. This is that Baikal, that sketch which I showed you, that black and white sketch with that blue streak in between. This is the Baikal. This is the water body that runs through it. Okay, so you get to see the aerial photographs, and this was actually shot this was pre-COVID. So a lot of the construction is already complete by then. This is the master plan for Estancia, and the shaded green area is the area that we are now looking after. This is now, which was actually supposed to be 1.8 million square feet of IT, is now the corporate headquarters of Zoho. And Zoho did the purchase in an all-cash deal. All-cash deal. That good and that strong is the balance sheet. The company is one of the few success stories where they have not borrowed a single rupee. And you know why? Because they go into tier 2 and tier 3 cities. First-time literates, first-time students are taught everything about IT. They are brought, and that's how they are transforming lives. That's how they have people with the least attrition rate. That's how people stay loyal. Because you have made a difference in my life. You have made a difference in my family's life. You have made a difference in my existence. Why should I look to go away? So yeah, these are the towers. This is the clubhouse. This is future expansion, and this, I don't know when it will get built. Okay, so the first project in Tamil Nadu and in South India which had Maivan construction. You guys have an idea what is Maivan construction? M-I-V-A-N. Have you heard that? Have you heard the expression? Any show of hands? No one? Maivan? Myntra you heard? Myntra? Flipkart? Yeah? Maivan? No. Maivan kya hai? No idea? Okay. Are you serious? You guys have not heard the word before? Maivan? M-I-V-A-N? Not like my van, like in a car? Like... Okay, this is aluminium formwork. It's an Irish invention which is manufactured in Kuala Lumpur, or the Asia Pacific distance is Kuala Lumpur. And what it does is, normal construction is done in shuttering plywood, right? You get your plywood, you get metal sheets. This is coated aluminium systems, number printed, so that it gets repeated 300 times. So after 300, your shuttering cost is free. You are not paying a single. It becomes virtually a freebie if you are able to reach that, and that is the most important. So China is built on Maivan. I mean, Shenzhen city was nothing. When I was in Hong Kong in 1997, it was like a one-horse town. Today, Shenzhen is on the global map with maximum concentration of super tall buildings. How do you think that has happened? So this was Chennai's first. In fact, if I'm not mistaken, one of the first even in the country. Aluminium formwork, so I don't do brick plastering on the outside. I don't do external plastering. I don't have any of those hassles. De-shutter, skim, and you're good to go. Problem is, I can't make any changes. No sir, I want that window sir, I want to increase that window because my living room is very dark sir. You can't do that. No sir, that bedroom is overlooking that guy's kitchen. I want to block it sir. You can't do that. I want to combine sir, I have duplex now, I want big large window. You can't do that. Because it's concrete and because it's structure. So this is the area which we had generated at that point, right? When we thought this building we have affectionately called the bucket, the glass bucket, because it looks like an inverted bucket. It's it's always good to laugh at your own self, and it's very, very important to laugh at your work before someone else does it. Because mind you, someone will do it. Either they'll sleep through it, like my beautiful friends here, or they'll laugh at it. Okay, so this shows the phases. This is the clubhouse which was done. This lake, which looks like a lake from Switzerland, is actually not so beautiful, but it does get filled. I'm not kidding. It does get filled with water, and I have walked on the bund there, and it feels nice whenever there's overflow. Someone said will remember this. Okay, this is a 21-acre master plan called Ziva. It's in phase 2 construction now in Mahabalipuram. Senior living. So you've got 19 villas, a beautiful clubhouse with a pool, and these are 2-bedroom apartments. This was the render, and one of the few projects that I'll say the actual construction is looking even better than the render. So definitely, most of our large projects, the landscaping has been done by Viraj Chatterjee and his firm called One Landscape. Viraj and me were colleagues in RMJM. I left RMJM, came to India and started the firm. He left, He was heading the landscape division called Strata, and then he left that and he started One Landscape. So today they have offices in India, in Pune, in Vietnam, and Hong Kong. So master planning landscape has been done by One Landscape. This was the design which we had given for the clubhouse, 50,000 square feet clubhouse space. Actually, what happened was the client felt that we should have a cultural connect, so we got those really talented craftsmen from Mahabalipuram, and we did a frieze here in granite, a fabricated facade. This is one of the villas. And these are actual site photographs. This was shot about a few months back. This is a very interesting project in Nellore. 55 acres of just villas, straight off the Bombay, this thing, Nellore highway. So the client found us through the internet. I think they saw our beach villa video, and then they said, oh great, sir, we want to. And they said, we actually got a reference from one of the Bangalore developers called Prestige. So I said, but I'm not doing anything with Prestige. No sir, Prestige gave a recommendation. They were embarrassed to tell me on my face that we found you from the net. Yes, I'm on camera. I have no qualms about saying it. So yes, internet works, your social media works, and so that's what happened. We started work, we worked on that for 6 months, and then one day they vanished. So we got paid what we got paid, and then after that, So this was the area they had apartments. This was not our design for the clubhouse. We had given them something else. But one of their investors from America said, no, we want this only, so we have to. So these are what we call coalition compulsions. Back in the day when Mr. Manmohan Singh was the Prime Minister, so-called Prime Minister, so it was called coalition compulsion. The real Prime Minister was someone else, but he was the figurehead. So this is like that. So because of coalition compulsion, that clubhouse design was done by someone else. So there was nothing that we could do. This was our design. And their design was when a first-year student tries their hand at parametric design without understanding the spelling of the word parametric, but suddenly everything is done by Lumion, and you press one button and you give a command and columns start mushrooming and ceilings start happening. So that is what actually happened. I should have actually added that image here for whatever value. So these were the villas. It was a very gated community, high-end, 4-bedroom, 5-bedroom, quite on the luxurious side. So they said, oh, you please do something, whatever you want to do. We are not going to impose anything on you. You come back with whatever options. So it was an opportunity for us to. We took it up because it allows us to test various strategies of form making, of fenestration, of proportions, which can be applied to something which is just a G+1 structure. Sorry. So this is a project not too far from here, Tirupur, affordable housing for a Hyderabad developer. They are waiting for funding clearance before we go ahead. So our work is complete, our designs are done. This is all part of the Pradhan Mantri Yojana scheme that you do not exceed a floor plan beyond 60 square meters. But there are innovative ways of combining what you can do. This was the experience center in the clubhouse, and we try and push the limits on cantilevers, because when you make a building float, when you make the building lifted off the ground, when you make a building visually light, I think some great things start happening. And I think people feel elevated when they are around that kind of architecture. So yes, but you have to do it carefully, and you have to do it with a lot of logic. So you can't just say, now I want a cantilever of 10 meters. No, that's not going to happen unless you give a 20-meter tieback. So please get your fundas right, and then you can do some great stuff. This is a project in Goa, which also has a very interesting history. We started work 10.5 acres, construction begins, and the client sells the entire project lock, stock and barrel to the next plot because they had a sea-facing view, and they gave him an offer, in the words of Mario Puzo's godfather that he could not refuse. So he got twice the amount of money and he got twice the amount of land for exiting this project. And we ended up with, we ended up with building this first part of the villas on site. So it was great going to Goa, flying to Goa. I was the only person in the flight not wearing shorts. Only person. Everyone is in your crocodile Dundee kind of hats and your this thing Harrison Ford, Raiders of the Lost Ark, full this thing, complete time pass, dhamal going on, and I'm there in my office clothes trying to, and they're like, you feel, I've never felt more strange on a flight. Going to site visits in Goa. And worst was coming back over the weekend, Saturday. People have tanned skins and they've been out in the sun. I'm like, yeah, I was at site at 7 a.m. talking to contractors. So, Goa has a very interesting rule. And this is again how, you guys have heard of something called NBC, National Building Code? You've heard? NBC, National Building Code there, first row, extreme left. Ma'am, National Building Code? Yeah? Okay, now National Building Code is supposed to be the uniform code for the entire country. But it's only there in paper. So in Goa, this is sacrosanct, written in Bible. This cannot exceed more than 6 meters or 7 meters. But that is up to you and Eiffel Tower. Whatever you want to do. You want to do a 60-degree slope, no problem, shoot it up. You want to put 3 lofts inside, no problem. That is okay. But your eaves projection has to be from the form ground level. So why do you see these sloping roofs? And the other thing in Goa is that 50% has to have a sloping roof. 50% of your roof skip. Just like in Chennai, now it is mandatory because CMDA mandates that 30% of your roof coverage has to be with solar panels. What will they generate? How many gigawatts of power they are going to generate? That no one knows. Is it going to be back in the system? No. But 30% you have to show solar panels on the roof. You cannot do anything else. I want to do yoga, sir. No, cannot. I want to put an outdoor dining. Cannot. 30% solar panel. Otherwise, plan reject. So, same thing here. 50% of your roof skip has to be sloped. So you want to do a clean Corbusier kind of a Villa Savoy, flat box. Not happening. Slope has to come. 50% has to come. This is a second home project in Vembanadu. Before the CRZ rules became so stringent that a project of this nature now is not possible to do. So this was the part of the land was owned by the earliest promoters of Sterling Resorts, and then the design brief which was given to us was individual houses which have undisturbed, uninterrupted views of the lake. This is the project very close, Port Club Road. It's called Skyline. Beautiful project. The client unfortunately passed away 3 years back, I think. Same time that our previous chief minister, in fact in the same month. So this was the property for Dr. Late Ashok. The Ashok Sundararaman has on GN Chetty Road, if you all there's a laparoscopy, very, very famous and very reputed. So this was his inherited land property, 4,400 square feet. This is one of the first projects that we did in a PT slab for a combined open plan living dining space. And now here's the thing, right? When I'm telling you guys that you have to be, he said, I'm going to live here. Shripal, this is my, he did not get a chance to stay here even one night. We spent 3 years making this building. He came with me to Europe, to China. We bought stuff from wherever it was. He used to come personally. He says, oh, it's great being with you because I get to learn so much. I said, Doc, I wish I could say the same. If you could teach me about your surgeries. And so he used to come. He used to take time out and we used to travel and we used to do this. And very, very, very lovingly, we did all the interiors for each of the floors. He says, I'm going to come and I'll operate through the week, Monday to Friday. But weekend I will come here because not even a single night, not even a single night he was able to stay. He got some infection and then he never, unfortunately, came out of it, and then he was in the ICU and then time up. So, don't think that, you know, life is going to go on and on and on for another 3,000 years. Okay, this is Newry Park Towers in Padi. Interestingly, which you guys will not know, the foundation for this was designed for an IT building, and this is thanks to the genius of Dr. Alex Jacob, one of our structural consultants, UC United Consultants. He has done one of the most brilliant structural surgeries in doing a raft foundation for creating 2 residential towers on top of what was the foundation for an IT building. IT building has a grid, IT building has an 8 meter or a 12 meter grid because it's driven by parking, and on top of that we had to put 2 blocks Vastu compliant, so 6 and 4, 6 units on one first tower, 4 units on the second, and a clubhouse and outdoor badminton, whatever, etc., etc. So this is what if you don't know your fundas, and if you don't know this thing, you can't. And when I spoke to Alex, sir, he said, yeah, Shripal will be able to do it. I said, sir, we have 2 residential towers with your foundation. He said, yeah, we put a raft and you tell me what you want. So when a structural engineer tells you that you tell me what you want, which means that he is on the same wavelength as you are. Very, very important. Because architecture alone cannot happen without rock solid, sensible, innovative structural engineering. And we will never be structural engineers. Because if you were a structural engineer, you would not be sitting here. You'd be in an engineering college. And I don't think there's a single program in the country where you learn architecture and you learn engineering. I don't think we've not reached that level of maturity. Okay, this is a project right in the heart of Mumbai in Santa Cruz called SV Road. 5 acres, the Wellington Catholic Gymkhana grounds was up for development, and we were one of the 9 invited firms for a design competition. 9, number 9. So we were number 4 or 5. First 3 were Hafiz contractor, and they didn't like Hafiz's screen. Then they got ADAS from Singapore. They didn't like ADAS. They got James Law, cybertecture, do something phenomenal, etc., etc. But this is Mumbai. You are talking with Gujus and Marwadis and the things. Cybertecture and Gujus and Marwadis don't go together. We were finally called because one half of this partnership was our client for that super tall building that was sketches that I showed you. We gave a design, we gave 2 options. Rahul Shah loved the design. Sanjay Shabria said, but you're not big enough because my finance team will not approve you. My investment bankers, do you have an office in Hong Kong? I said, no. Do you have an office in Singapore? No. Do you have an office in New York City? I'd love to, but no. Oh, well, then we can't do the job. So, this is what transpires in the real world. You will be right on top, you'll get some great designs, but be prepared for taking a drubbing. And I tell you, when these salesmen come in our office, sir, can you please consider our tile? Or some guy will come with sanitary equipment. Sir, have you looked at this tab? I have to do the same thing when I go and meet clients. Sir, please take a look at our projects. Can I show you what we've done? So, never ever treat them like shit. Never ever treat them like dirt. Whoever walks into your office, respect them. If you can't meet them, okay, you tell them, no, come later. Or you give me a call or you take an appointment, you come. But this is how the market works. So treat everyone with the same level of respect, because one day you're going to be in that same position, going and talking to a potential client or a potential developer, and like I told you, your means to an end. You're a service industry, you're a service provider. So these were the letters that we did, and just to wake some of your sleeping beauties up, you know what is the price of the real estate for this? Per flat. The first flat was starting at the 7th floor because 6 floors of parking. Yes, 6 floors of parking. 7th floor was the first floor because that was the sea view. And people are paying what kind of price? Take a guess. Per square feet. Any guesses? Quickly, we've got a lot of stuff to cover. Sorry? 2 lakhs. Starting price was 50,000 rupees a square feet. Booking opened at 50,000 rupees a square feet. So this is the extent of disparity between real estate markets in our own country. The project has gone into trouble for different reasons. That's a financial thing. Okay, so those sketches which I showed you earlier, these were the renders for that super tall, which is actually now not even this design because it's going to go through something else, because the client has asked for a 6-meter cantilever on the top floor for his triple penthouse. 6-meter cantilever right on top. So where we thought we would get some really sleek, nice-looking pergolas, now there's going to be some phenomenal cantilever. And Achyut Vatre, JW, I just delivered a keynote lecture in the IDAC in Bombay, and he was my moderator. And he's actually doing the structure design. So when he saw this, he had a smirk on his face. He's like, Shripal, ये design तो अभी नहीं हो रहा, ये तो change हो गया. I said, yeah, I know. Okay, so these are the interiors, 1,000 square feet, PT slab, open plan offices. We try and avoid corridors. I hate corridors. I mean, that's just, corridors are meant for trains. Corridors are not meant for humans. Please be kind to your fellow citizens. Do not make these long, dingy corridors in apartment blocks. Work with open plans so there's enough of prana, there's enough of light, there's cross ventilation. All your fundas about environmental design you can put to use right on day one. And it's okay, I don't want walls, I don't want screens, we don't live in Britain. This is not 17th century England where you have a formal living room and then someone's going to come and some butler is going to come, Jeeves is going to come. May I give you something, sir? Would you like something? No, this is India. Okay, this is a house on the sea which has been something of a beautiful unfolding journey. This is the morning view at 5 a.m. It's not a render. This has been mistaken for a render probably a few hundred times. This is an actual shot by Auroville-based photographer Mia Studio, Coriolan, German guy, brilliant. Yeah, so these are the open plans. I'm running through that because you can look that up on YouTube. So this is another house we've done and it's actually turned out really well on TTK Road. These are the renders. Yes, that's Daniel Craig. This is the house in Trichy, which is now in almost handover stage. It's a generation, 4 generations living together, jewelry family. Interiors are a bit on the bling side, but this was a requirement. Coalition compulsion, as I call them. This is a house we've done in Tenampet for Mr. and Mrs. Vaidyanathan, Chitra ma'am and Vaidi sir. And you know, their old house used to be, I'll just go back. So this used to be flooded with 6 feet of water every year. And her mother, I remember the first time I went to the site, her mother made coffee for me and said, you know, I hope you complete the house while I'm still alive. I said, so very loaded. When tremendous pressure. When an elder makes a statement like that, means, man, you have to bring your A game to the table. Because that I can't deal with. I can deal with anything else. But seniors coming and telling me, elders coming and telling me, emotional trauma, yeah, boss, you can't afford to. So I put my heart and soul on the project, and till date, right, she's in great health, and she just loves it, and she just says, you know, thank you so much. Now, when this is what makes coming back to India worth it. This is what I just can't put a price in terms of dollars. The gratitude which you get from clients, the gratitude which you get from satisfied end users is invaluable. I mean, you just can't put a price on that. And it continues. You become very close family friends. You started off as a consultant, you started off as a professional. Through your work, things have changed, and now it's an entirely different thing. So this is the most important thing is not starting a relationship. The most important thing is sustaining a relationship and making sure that it goes into another level altogether. That is the true success, whether you've performed as a consultant or not. Otherwise, otherwise it's a transaction. Yeah, then, I think there's much more to life than just transactions. Okay, this is the house for the managing director of the Broadway project, in Sai Baba Colony in Coimbatore. So this is the retrofit, but we tried to do a lot more that we could do because they didn't want to completely raise it to the ground. This is the eldest daughter's room. This is the house where we had a chance to use re-salvage, upcycle these chettinad columns from the old bungalow. This is the house of Mr. Nagarajan, MSN, printers, very old company, printing company, calendar, diaries, and this is the penthouse in Tiruvallur. Okay, this is Africa in construction. Now, here's the thing, here's the best part, right? We signed a contract, we do this. In my contract, 3 trips to Africa. I said, Chalo, African safari on. We'll go to Ghana. After that, I will go to this park. I will go to this wildlife sanctuary. Big plans I made, right? 5 projects finished, not single trip to Africa. Why? Because Zoom call. Because everything on internet. Because email. Only 5-hour time difference. So 5 o'clock here is lunchtime there. All the drawing, all the information was going there. Sir, video call said, no need to come, sir. So projects finished, handed over, no African safari. See, this is it. But it's there in the contract. There 3 trips. All the consultants got excited. Sir, we'll go to Africa. I said, yeah, on your expense. You're going to pay for the ticket. He's not coming for the client. So, okay. So this is that building, that modern building with the office building on top and the residential. This is actually the. This is another building called Pavilion, which we designed for them. It's under construction. I think we would have reached the first floor. So, this is Confluence. Some of you would have stayed there, you've eaten there, you've attended weddings there, and you've probably now seen it in various stages of remedial work also. But I think it was great for me because 20,000 square feet column-free space I had not done. Built. I mean, I had done when I was in RMJ, we've done some great stuff. But to build it here was a big challenge, and I think that was pretty with a 20-feet ceiling. Yeah, these are the rooms. Am I supposed to point to the screen or to the laptop? How does it work? Because it's not going forward. Okay. Okay, this is a project in Coimbatore under construction. In fact, I'm flying there this evening for a site visit and a site review, which will start at sharp 9 a.m. tomorrow. 4 lakh square feet, 1.6 acre, 1.5 acre property. This is on 3.1. We are really excited. This is one of the most ambitious projects in terms of the cinema industry which is coming up. And the reason I say that is we are putting 9 screens on 1 floor, combined capacity of 2,200 people. I love movies. I've been a movie fan right from day one. And this was an absolutely wonderful chance to do something for the cinema industry. So we've got VIP, we've got IMAX, we've got Epic, we've got small screen, and we've got large screen, all on one with a central atrium, with a central spine. Along with that, a 40-room boutique hotel, and then the balance areas are retail, gaming, and whatever else that we could fit in. So the project is called Broadway, but we are actually meeting the branding consultant tomorrow. So we called it, for the sake of design, this thing's Broadway Megaplex, but it's actually going to be, I don't know what's going to be. So this is and you can see that these photographs, side photographs were a few, I think this was 3 months back. So, and the first thing that you need to do is you go into a site and it's almost meditative, right? You go into a site and you just walk around the site and you experience what you've created. And then you see it starts talking to you. The first time you go to a site when nothing is there, the bhumi will talk to you, the ground will talk to you. You will visualize. If you're sensitive and if you're gifted and if you're both, then straight away when you walk on that, you will realize you start getting some great ideas. You'll start getting, and you'll get a good feeling. I'm not saying every site you'll get. You might get a site and say, no, something is not right. So learn to develop the gift of intuition. Your intuition will take you much further than anything else. So yeah, so this is the render on the left. Actually, it's been revised and now there's a new render and a new design because it's come from Giovanni Castor from California. That's the space on the right. So this is the 400-seater IMAX standing seam roofs. Dwayne Johnson hopefully will be there in the next version of this movie. And the dream, we started this project in 2017 and one of the directors says, I want James Cameron's Avatar to open. And actually, it is, the way the progress is going, actually December 16th is Avatar 2 launch date. You would have seen, if you guys are on Insta, you would have seen the trailers. Phenomenal movie making, absolutely stunning. I mean, the man is just way out there. When it hits here, and hopefully if we have the cinemas ready, this will be screening it. So yeah, you can see that. Now, oops, why does it jump like it's on black coffee? Okay. No? Yeah, this is, okay. We are transforming a campus in Chromepet called the SDNB, Sri Devkuvar Nanalal Bhatt College, Vaishnav College, SDNB Vaishnav College. This is their Golden Jubilee building. It's a library of 50,000 square feet, overlooking the track and field ground, and right next to the visual communication building, and on the side of probably what was the very first building on the campus. So this design was chosen by the senior most trustee, who's only 85 years old, and he chose this design because he said, do something for the next generation. Do something that the future students who pass out are proud of. So this is the build that was done. It's actually looking much better. This is the Great Hall. These are the hexagon LED lights that we've given them. So now you see what we have visualized on the left and what is actually coming. Because we were not able to get, and on top of that we've got these giant fans, which are straight out of this is made also in Coimbatore, energy saving, completely silent, the entire hall, only 2 fans, huge fans, and they're not your World War II Dakotas, they are beautiful. So this is Indian engineering at its best. We save money, no air conditioning required, natural ventilation, and noise free. So if you look for a solution, you will find it for sure. So they have a controller of examinations, they have PhD scholars, they have various programs. This is the steelmaking company's corporate headquarters, Avanti, and this is the abstract representation of the steel making process called smelting. Smelting is at 1000 degrees when your billet or when the molten steel is converted into steel rods, sparks fly. So I went to the factory and I was there in full overall gears right next to a 800 degree distinct furnace to see this process, because I said I have to see it. I want to see how you're making steel. You're building buildings with steel. I've never gone to a steel plant. I've never seen how you make steel. So he said, okay, no problem. But you are okay with the heat? I said, no problem, I'm okay with the heat. So this is what was there. So the sparks fly and then the steel cools down and then it's like almost like a 100-meter drying yard before they start cutting it. So he says, can you do something so that it comes on the facade? So I said, yeah, we'll give it a shot. So we ended up perforating the CNC steel panels, but the narrative and the design that has come is actually showers, and literally like showers of sparks which are coming from top. And it looks really actually quite funky at night. It's another story that a lot of sari shops are also doing that these days. But hey, we did it first. Okay, so this is the boardroom, and the brief, the requirement was it has to look like a capsule. So capsule means a double-sided, double-curved glass. Saint-Gobain doesn't make it, Asahi doesn't make it, Gujarat Guardian doesn't make it. So if you see, the glass is curved in plan and curved in section. So we actually got this glass fabricated piece by piece before, to the maximum that they could actually heat strengthen it, and then we got it installed joint free on site. So the base connection is here, and then there's another. Now this is why our profession is so engaging, because the client has just given you his dream. It is your job to make that dream into reality, into a practical, functional, economical, safe reality. Which other profession will give you this? And on top of that, when it comes out, it's something unique. So you created something which you are proud of, which the end users love, and it's beautiful to look at. So this is an original. This shape and form is inspired by a German fitting. I think it's a Delta light, and it's called Ringo Star. So it looked like the Audi car logo rings. So the price of that was from 5.6 lakhs. We said no. I was feeling really bad. Like, I can't blow 5.6 lakhs on a light fitting. So I spoke to Padmini from Fabric Works here, and we've been working. They do great work in tensile fabric, tensile structure. I said, Padmini, can we look at this in stretch ceiling? She said, you give me the drawing, you give me what you have in mind, and we'll start making. After multiple prototypes, this is installed on site, and Monday I'm going to go there in the evening to get an actual lux level reading and to see how that is. So we managed to achieve 90% of the design intent at a fraction of the cost. So you don't have to. But this is because you want to make it happen, and because you use the ability you use the opportunity in the right way. You can't just say, client has money, make no mistake. Writing a check and purchasing is like literally 3 seconds work. But there is another way out. But you have to apply your mind for that. So you can see that this is I put this project in. This is a clubhouse which is not going to get built. At least it's not going to get built in this Diamond City project in Coimbatore. But it was an invited competition, 2-acre plot, and it was too good a chance to miss. So this is shaped like a boomerang. It gave an opportunity for us to look at the dancing columns, lift the building off the ground, have a pool at an elevated floor, something really light and fun, which is what a clubhouse should be. A small project for the Art of Living Foundation in Bangalore Convention Center, but we are now looking at a larger parcel of land. This is a design intent for the Maris Hotel lobby, but actually we've now used this space and expanded the restaurant, so the lobby itself is going to become much smaller, but the language still remains the same. This is an arcade salon. Yeah, so this, first we thought we'll put a fast food and then we've actually used that into a waiting area. This is the bar, fully operational, and now the artwork for the bar has been done by a really gifted artist called Bhavya Desai, and he's done the illustrations. So he's captured the essence of the drinking culture, not the Tasmac one, but and I'll send all the photographs. So this was the design for the Sheraton Grand on ECR in the lobby. This is the corporate headquarters for Nuri Properties and B Block, Ananagar. Botry Software, yeah, and these are the consultants. Okay, can we go to the next presentation? Are you guys bored, or you can still go on? How are we doing on time? Samad sir, are we okay on time? Yeah, Anjali? Yeah? Okay, can we? Yes, no, give me a thumbs up. You want to take a break, or should I put some funny videos on, or what? I'm not kidding. I have a funny video. I want you guys guys to see. I think that'll be a great. And then you put the last one on no. Go. Yeah, put that on. I just right click that and put use that with this thing, no? VLC. Or no. Open with. Go down. Open with and VLC media player. Yeah. Audio. You get audio. Okay. So, can you get the audio? Sure. Okay, so this is you're not getting audio? Yeah. Okay, so we have been approached by India's oldest carpet making company called OVD Carpets, 135-year-old legacy. And so they are looking, and they have a huge export market, and now they want to increase the domestic presence. So they came with the idea that, okay, would you like to do something? I said, great. Yes, of course. I've never done a carpet in my life. I've barely used one. But you never say no to challenge. So, thank you. That woke me up. I don't know about the rest of you guys. I think it's good to get a shot once in a while. Like, hello, wake up. Okay, so we took it up as a challenge, and it's actually, this is a short video which we presented in the pitch, to show what we've done. And I was there in Delhi on Tuesday, and our series has just been approved, so we've got a design for them. It will be hitting pan-India by, the first prototype is in June or July, and we will start production, and by December the launches will start happening. So we are going to actually design carpets. So how do you make a carpet? They employ 25,000 craftsmen. 25,000, right? I mean, it's huge. 25,000 craftsmen is what their pool of talent is. So I've got to sit with the people who actually do the weaving. I've got to go to Mirzapur. Mirzapur is an actual city. It's not from some Netflix TV series. Mirzapur exists. So I have to go, it's 1 hour from Varanasi. So I have to go there, I have to be with the craftsmen, they will make a prototype, they will ask, sir, ye color theek hai, this pile is okay, this cut pile is okay, and whatever we've created is actually going to get made, and then we'll stay tuned. It's going to hit the market, and it's going to hit this thing very soon. So can we get just increase the audio, no? Yeah, full. Yeah. Right. this flat in 2 weeks. From the time that we got the mandate, can we look at the last video, the second one? So this is after one of the design events which was there, the 4A, and so they asked me to introduce myself, and then there was a rapid fire set of questions. Yeah.
My name is Bond, James Bond. Everything, life is design. It completes existence. Patience. You need patience in life. The minute you run out of it, you're in trouble. House in Chennai on the beach. We're still getting photographs of sunrises and sunsets. I think timber derivatives and sustainable timber is definitely something which is meeting and checking all the boxes in terms of aesthetics, longevity, and most important, life of the project. Okay, a cup of coffee would be with Rem Koolhaus, and it would all be monosyllables because the man doesn't speak. Second person would be Richard Meyer, he has a huge ego but great stuff. And third one would be Calatrava, because he'll be gesticulating like an animal with all his anthropomorphic ideas. So yeah.
Okay, so actually there were many more questions, but this is the edited clip that the editor just sent me literally, I think, yesterday. I said, please, whatever you have, you send it to me. Okay, can we go to one more presentation and then we'll take questions? What time is it right now? Sorry? It's already 1 o'clock. Oh God. Okay, we'll take hotel projects, corporate office, the convention center, number 9. Can you just open that convention center? Yeah. Okay, so this is like super large. This is an entirely different scale of projects, and now moving. So this is an opportunity to actually look at space making and technology at a different scale. Center? No, I want to go to the next slide. Just go to the next one. Okay, so this is the 4-point confluence, 4-point Sheraton. No, I'm moving. Can someone do it manually from there? Okay, sorry, yeah. So that's the master plan. Long linear, 13.5 acres. What is facing the ECR is actually the main building with the dining. Then you have a 1.4-acre green open space and 90 villas and chalets right at the back. And this is parking for almost 300 cars. Plus you have another 200 cars on the campus. Various configurations, so you can divide it into an 800-seater and a 1200-seater. Very, very important for convention centers and public areas and exhibition grounds. If any of you guys are looking at doing a thesis, it's a great typology, it's a great building, much needed, and huge potential in India. So please do consider that and take that up. These are some of the lighting and simulations. Okay, sorry. Yeah. No? Yeah, just go to the next slide. Okay, this was a competition entry for Tex Valley in Erode. So this was a convention center which would bring all the small, medium, and large traders, fabric, yarn exporters together under one roof. Because right now they are operating out of some really day markets, and the whole go to the next. So this was the site. Some other buildings were already existing, and the area which was given to us was for the most visible part of the site. Yeah, next. Next. So you see the design studies that actually start forming the space, and then along with the convention center, you always need hospitality. You cannot be having people staying 3 kilometers away. Even if there is 50 rooms, 70 rooms, 80 rooms, you need that right on campus. So that was the tower block, which was the hotel. Next. We were getting, I think there was a software called Ecotech, and we could look at shadow studies, and you can see what, so all this will start driving your fenestration. So it's not just to make a pretty looking slide, you actually apply that in your facade design. So if someone tells you, why is my facade different for every facade? Because the sun moves differently. That is why it is different. Next. Program. Next. Circulation. Next. Surface treatment, what you see, what you don't see, the planes, any project which has a front of house component, FOH, which means it's experiential. And this is what drives, this is where the money is. Next. Form making, cantilever, next. And this is the actual, yeah, next. 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 Kolkata Convention Center, very, very ambitious project, 100-acre project. This was a flagship building. Next. Unfortunately, this project is not going to be built, at least in this form, with this developer. But what we did was quite remarkable. Look at that next. 400,000 square meter site area. It was literally a floating jewel. And then the main convention center was going to be something which India had not seen. Next. So it was just at par with international. You could have arenas, you could have rock shows, you could have conventions, you could have political gatherings, whatever you wanted. All of that was possible in the main plenary halls. Next. See, you see, 156 meter by 54 meter. That was the size of the space. That was the engineering which was going to go inside this entire long span structures. Next. Next. Yeah. And these are multiple level plans. Next. That's the build form. That was actually school. So these were the designs which were generated, presented, almost everything was good to go, funding. So see, so when you, and this is something that you learn through life, do not be emotionally connected with your projects. 5 out of 10 projects may not get built immediately, but it will happen later on. It may happen later on. So you can't be depressed and you can't say, oh, now I did so much, I invested so much of time and effort. No. And now it's not going through. It happens. It happens. I mean, it happens to everyone. It happens to large corporations. It happens to design. Just imagine. Imagine taking a design up to this resolution and this level, and then the client says, sorry, we can't do it. We can't do it right now. And we don't know when it will be done. Next. Yeah. Full. I mean, it was the full works. Models, designs, everything. Materiality, the full. I mean, we have taken it up to a tendering level. Next. Yeah. Next. Danburi World City, the largest project that I've worked on so far, 5,000 acres. Next. This is the first sketch on top, 5,000 acres in West Bengal. This was at the time before Mamata Banerjee became the chief minister, her previous predecessor, and this would have been the only project which would have had Unitech and DLF working together in one real estate project. Next. So the landscape inspiration that you see, the terrain and the topography from the air drove the entire master plan, and that is actually what created the next. And this is the, so it had everything. I mean, everything that you read about today: logistics city, hospitality, healthcare, residential, IT, the full works. It was way ahead. I mean, this project was way ahead of its time, and you know, I think it will happen now in bits and pieces in other parts of the country. Next. Yeah, good. Thanks. So we have actually made an animation for this, a complete fly-through. Next, so these are still shots from there. This is Shijiazhuang, whatever, pronounce it whichever way you want to. The convention center in a competition entry, which we have done for RMJM. Next. Next. I just love the tower. I just love the fact that you could actually do something which completely offsets the almost like a seashell kind of a form. Next. Next. projects like this give you an opportunity to really experiment with structural engineering and merge the disciplines of design and structural engineering. Next. Traffic circulation arrangement. Next. 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 Keep going. That's it. Great. Thank you for being a wonderful audience and staying awake. So, we will go on for another hour, but I need to go back to the office and join a Zoom meeting. So, can we take a few questions if you have? Yeah? Any questions? Only one mic? No? People are scared to ask questions. I promise you I won't make fun of you. You feel free. You can ask whatever you want to ask. No? Am I that intimidating? Seriously, no questions? No? All good? You understood everything? So, ho gaya? Full, direct? Great. Seriously, anyone in the back, those backbenchers, good morning, woken up, hello? Yeah, okay. Hungry, everyone's hungry here, मेरे को भूख लगी है, food, I want to eat. Okay, yeah, sure.
Initially, you talked about how you would recommend for us to go see a city. You said you have to go and feel the city, and just traveling is not enough. How do you experience a city? How do you say that you should?
You know, I'm constantly traveling, and so the question is how do I do it, or which city? So you need to make time out, and you need to set yourself that, I would say almost discipline, and hopefully your work will take you there. But if your work doesn't take you there, you prioritize. Is it more important for you to be on the beach and put your feet up and chill out for 4 hours, or would you rather walk around an old city and learn something new? So that is a choice which you have to make. And the kind of cities, I would say, India is a treasure house. I mean, we have not even discovered half the wealth that we have. So if you're privileged enough to make overseas travels, then go and see the main cities that you can. Financial centers, commercial centers, historical centers, Prague, Europe. Go and see what you can, even in the United States, between the East Coast and the West Coast, huge variation. So whatever relates to you, and that is a call, and that's a decision that you have to make. Whatever makes you happy, whatever makes you feel that you've gained something out of it. So yeah. Have I answered? Okay. Any other? Yes, Janani, what can I do for you?
How do you approach a residential interior project as opposed to a corporate interior project?
You ask questions first. A residential interior project and a corporate interior project both have very different functions and different programs and different aspirations. So you always ask a client, what is it that they want? What is their expectation of you? Like I told you, Pinterest and Insta have made this thing very difficult. So, we've had clients, children, do PPTs and send them to us saying, I want my bedroom to look like this. Clients, children, right? Mood board. I am supposed to make the mood board and present it. I have got mood boards for clients. Now, this is the impact of technology today in our industry. Half the people here didn't even know what was a mood board. Imagine that coming from, and this is for a residential project. It's not the corporate team of a office building that is telling you this. So your sensibilities have to be different. Your aesthetics will be different. Your materiality will be different. Your approach to the whole project has to be entirely different. Residential is very personal, because it's an extension of the person's personality and the family members. Residential, you'll have 5 people making decisions. In a corporate office, probably one, the managing director and maybe the vice president of the, so the whole different mindset. You have to approach them very differently. You cannot apply the same yardstick and the same rules. I won't agree to that, saying it's not okay to replicate, but it's okay to apply the principles. So replicating is not okay, but application of principles is okay. Something new will come out for each project. But the same methodology and the same rigor you can apply. Obviously you have to. What comes out has to be different, because today information technology has caught up so much that you can't, I mean, you do something and then the client will say, sir, but I've seen this project, it's not original. So you have taken it from there. So everyone values originality. Everyone values and everyone knows. You cannot underestimate a client. I mean, cardinal mistake. Criminal and cardinal mistake if you underestimate a client. The minute you do that, you're okay, gone. Because it's there. I mean, you've actually, sir, ye to maine dekha hai, sir, I've seen this project. He'll come and tell you, I like this building in Florida, I've seen this here, can we make it like that? It's your duty then to tell them whether it's possible or whether it's not possible for whatever reason. But you have to come up with an original idea all the time. So that's the challenge on you. Now, if you don't like the profession and if you're not passionate, then that's not going to happen. You'll be dry and you'll be looking at the ceiling and nothing will come. Ceiling will not drop. Ideas will not come. You'll get stressed out. Dark circles. Okay, any other questions? Yes? No, you can't prepare for changes, which is why there are changes. So you have to go with the flow, but you can decide whether those changes can be taken on board in their entirety or parts of it. So that is on you. If a client comes and says, then it is up to your skill to tell them whether it's okay or not okay to change, and what will be the pros and cons and the benefits of changing or not changing. So they are relying on your expertise, they are relying on your maturity, they are relying on your value-added opinion for that. So, but you can't prepare for it. So it will upset things, it will disrupt your mode of working, it will make it will create a lot of trouble, and you've got to take it in your stride. You don't have an option. That's part and parcel of our profession. You know, our profession is very, very rewarding and very satisfying, but it needs infinite patience from all of us. You cannot just expect things to happen in a matter of seconds. You cannot expect things to happen at the speed that you want it. You have to go through a process, you have to give that time. So please, and how are you going to get patience? Either you are gifted, or you cultivate, or you train yourself, or you do something that makes you patient. It could be spiritual, it could be whatever, whichever way, whatever this thing that you believe in, but you need patience. If you're not patient, big problem. Forget clients making changes. Your consultant and your vendors will not deliver. They promised you something yesterday, it will come after 10 days. And it starts affecting everything. What are you going to do? You've already committed to the client. Hey sir, kaam ho jayega, work will be done, it will be ready. Then you say, sir, truck has only not left from Jaipur. Then after 2 days you'll get a message saying, driver has gotten hijacked. Truck has gotten impounded. I'm not kidding, I've actually heard these things. Driver is abducted, sir, driver is missing. I said, what do you mean driver is missing? Sir, some problem happened, altercation happened, driver is missing. So where is the truck? Sir, it's on the road. So then send another driver. Yes, sir, but the driver doesn't have a license. So it's hilarious. It's like a comedy show. So these things will actually keep on happening. So you have to prepare for it. You have to take it down. If you have a short temper and if you are not able to absorb this, then gone. You will go mad. You will drive everyone in your office mad, and most important, you will drive everyone at home mad. So, but it's very rewarding. It's very satisfying when something gets completed and a client comes with gratitude. Like I told you, you just can't put a value on that. Okay. Any other questions? Big words, very loaded words. Energy efficiency, sustainability, biomimicry. I don't know all these things. What do I do? I'm just an architect. Yes, we do. We are just conscious of making sure that is it the right call, is it the right material, is it the right loading, whether it's electrical, lighting, HVAC, whatever it is. So yes, okay, I'll put it this way. You need to reflect back on your own personality. If you've got 10,000 rupees in your pocket, will you go and spend it today? You won't. You'll come up with an energy efficient design. So it depends on who you are. If you know how to budget your own expenses, you will budget your own design. But if you say, yeah, 10,000, I'm going to spend 25 today, gone, finish. Say goodbye to your client. So you will make your own decisions. So this green building and all this now has become all this big word. We started with green building principles right on day one. I mean, you minimize your thermal exposure. That is green building. You make sure that your east and west sun is not going to hit the building so hard. But then Vastu will come into the picture. So it's a balancing game. It's a constant titration. How do you meet visibility, frontage, accessibility, client aspiration, plus all these other considerations? So you have to balance. You can only balance if you have knowledge. And you get knowledge if you work more and if you get experience, which is why I said there's no shortcuts. So you do that, spend that time, invest in yourself. The word is invest. If you don't invest in yourself, gone. No one's going to come and do it. You can't. Your brothers, your sisters, your family, they can't do it. You have to do it yourself. Anyone else? Now that everyone's awake. Yes? I think we won't even reach that stage because today selection criteria are so stringent that unless if you've participated in a project typology, they won't even give you the invitation packet. So you have to, even as a secondary, as a support design firm, you have to have done that. Gone are the days where anyone could do anything. No. So difficult. So unless I decide that I want to do an airport and I work towards that, I'm not going to get a chance to do an airport. We're getting inquiries for that, and what I say to the clients is we do the public areas and we do the areas which do not have the service intensive operation theatre, management of gases, etc. I'll get a consultant for that. But we do the planning, we do the master planning, we'll make sure that the building works. But I don't know medical gases. I don't know which oxygen line has to come from where and which has to be in which theatre. I've never done a cardiac theatre. I've not done a pediatric theatre. So I can't do that. I can't now start teaching myself. But I'll get a specialist for that and we'll go with that. But the planning for that will be done by us. So there are ways and means of doing it. And today consultancy, all consultants are available. If you know where to look for them. You should know how to manage. And you should know how to pick the right ones. Yes? Yet to come. Yet to come. Most challenging projects are the ones where we don't get fees. Or where it takes longest to recover the fees. Actually, and I hope Mr. Vijay Kumar, I'm going to send him this clip. We did a master plan for a 1,000-acre logistics park in South India 1 year back. We got paid 1 lakh for it with the promise of the rest of the money coming. And I'm still praying and I'm still waiting every day for that. So for whatever reason, the design has not moved forward, the project has run into hiccups. So challenges are not from the design end, challenges are from after it leaves the office and when the return has to come. That is more challenging because then your fixed expenses are still the same, your salaries are there, your office staff, their school education, their EMIs, all that can't wait for eternity. That doesn't survive on love and pressure. So managing all that is constantly challenging. Projects are not challenging, projects are fun.
Can I ask you?
Yes, sir, of course.
Like 25 or 30 years back, Chennai was still in a nascent state of construction. And suddenly everything started booming, right? We all saw it. So developers started going into large scale projects. We were doing ground prestige and then it became high resolution. So it was a fad at that time, most developers would get a design from an overseas consultant. I'm sure you all know that.
Yeah.
You get some design from Singapore or Hong Kong or HOK or and they were paid a small fixed fee. Because these developers were just using their plain board. But then the design was passed on to a local architect.
Yes.
All of us, I think, recognize.
Yeah.
Did this trend did any good to the market in India?
Yes, it did some amount of good because it opened the level of awareness to what can be possible. And make no mistake, a developer has gone to an international designer because he thinks he's going to get more from the international designer than what is available from the local talent pool. That was old school of thought. Today, the talent in India is phenomenal. I mean, phenomenal means absolutely unbelievable talent here. So, we are doing a house in America. We are doing a house in Texas for a client, for an entrepreneur. We've done a couple of designs for him. We are waiting for him to now come back. I mean, it's reversed. We're doing a work in Africa. They could have gone to an African architect. They could have gone to a local district. So the roles have changed. Times have changed. Today, there is so much interesting to show. And why would a client now pay, first of all, exchange rate in US dollars, then you have to pay withholding tax, then you have to still get the expense to pay a local architect and the local team. Means where are the margins to allow that kind of a big fat buffer? So it's completely changed today. This great talent, specialized. If there is no specialty available, then someone has gone, yeah, fine, that's okay. So SOM, GVK and GMR went to SOM for the Mumbai International Airport because what was available in India was not good enough to that scale and that speed. So that justified the whole thing. Now it's very different.
So it actually helped them. The foreign talent which are now coming into India at that stage was probably educated to an extent the architectural practices available, right?
Yes.
So we are sort of in par now.
I would not say we are at par because we don't have the offices like in the same genre as Norman Foster or Grimshaw or KPF or whichever. Take a pick from the hat. But we have great designers. We have very good firms. We have people who understand the culture, materiality, and most importantly, Indian sensibility. I mean, we're doing the station interiors for 5 of the bullet train stations. The original design has come from Japan. We're changing everything. But we are keeping it within the same materiality which was signed off by L&T into the tender. So, but we are adding value. We are putting it out there in an entirely different way. So yes, I think it's a great time for our profession. And the next 10 years, 15 years, there's some wonderful stuff coming out of the country. Okay, more questions? Done? Great, thank you very much. It was lovely to be here. Thank you to most of you for staying away, and to the ones who are happily snoozing. I hope you got some good rest. So, hope to see more of these interactions, and I just hope you guys actually learned something from whatever I've shared. So feel free to get in touch with us, message, email, whatever it is. I'm more than happy to take any questions. Even after that, if you're not comfortable asking there, you can message me as well. Great, okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir, for enlightening us with your speech and sharing us your stories and about your projects. I now request the dignitaries to please come up on stage for the felicitation of our chief guest. I request our principal, Professor Mohammed Idris, to present the memento to our chief guest, Architect Shripal Munshi. On behalf of Mohammed Satak, AG Academy of Architecture, I am glad to propose the vote of thanks. I would like to extend our heartfelt gratitude to our esteemed guest speaker, Architect Shripal Munshi, for accepting our invitation and being with us here. Your thoughts have truly inspired us, sir. We thank our management, Dean, Principal, HOD, and especially our Design Chair, Professor Miran Abdul Samad, for organizing this knowledge-sharing platform. We would also like to thank Kannan sir and Jagdish sir for helping us host the event. To conclude with, we now call upon our choir to sing the national anthem. Kindly rise. I request the audience to please be seated until the dignitaries leave the auditorium.